Welcome to Deb Talk with your host, Deb Darling. On this pod, I'll be asking the hard questions that life throws our way. What some are scared to talk about and others wish they did. Sex, cultura, kids being assholes, overeating, butt sex, shitty jobs, and so much more. I'm on this journey of getting to know myself and others. So come join me! Welcome to Deb Talk with your girl, Deb Darling, and I am here with my very special guest, Mr. Iggy.
What up, what up, what up? Hello, everybody. Hello, Deb. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you for
good.
being here.
Yeah, no problem. Of course. It's an honor to be on this podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem at all.
So, tell the people how we know each other, what you do. Well, actually, tell the people what you do, who you are, all that good stuff. Then we can get into how we know each other.
Sure. I am just a regular dude with some dope-ass sneakers and some dope-ass shirts. No, just a regular guy trying to be a father, trying to be a decent human being without a police record. I know Deb because she is actually the mother of my children. We currently have a beautiful daughter with another beautiful daughter on the way. She is my ex-girlfriend, current friend, and yeah, she's just the homie. And we've been rocking with for quite some time now.
Yes. So, as you guys can hear, he is my baby daddy and my friend. And because of him, I am here today. He is the person that literally pushed me off of the edge to be here and to start this podcast. And he was my number one supporter. That is for sure. So, yeah, again, I can't say it enough how thankful I am to have you be part of this and be part of my life and still be my number one supporter.
Yeah, it's an honor to be on this podcast, especially for me, because I actually seen this podcast start from its absolute infancy. I've seen the variations of it with the different hosts, the ones that didn't work out. So to see her here and actually recording this, I don't know when they're going to be released, but she's recorded, 15, 16 other people or something, craziness like that. And so to be able to see that when she first came to me and said, I want to start a podcast, to, hey, I have 3 recordings today. Here are my questions. Here's my spreadsheet. Give me a second. I have to type up my releases and those type of things. It's super dope to see that transition. So I am glad to be on here because I am glad that I was able to see it from the start.
Yes, and you were there, like I said, and I can't say it enough that you were the reason for it, and you supported me throughout all of my ventures, not even just this. You supported through YouTube, through just me wanting to be a creative in any type of way. Everything, you were just like, do it. Like without any hesitation, without anything, you just believed in all of my ideas. And that is amazing.
Yeah, I'm super glad. And like I said, it's dope to see it come to fruition. It's also dope that it's a dope podcast. Like, I am also a person who listens to podcasts. I don't listen to a ton of podcasts because I'm actually pretty particular about what I listen to. So what I've seen and what I've heard from her podcast, this is actually a pretty cool podcast. I'm not really one to sell wolf tickets, and you listen, you'll hear for yourself. But it's a pretty creative podcast. So on top of everything else, I'm glad to be part of something that's dope.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let's get started, and we can slide right on into this week's first, sorry, the first segment, which is the weekly inquiry. And this week's inquiry is, how has father's remorse affected your life? So you can start because you're the father.
Sure. So for those who don't know, and I don't even know if this is the appropriate term, when I speak the father's remorse, it's the parts of fatherhood, pre-baby and post-baby, that you just can't do anything, and how that makes one feel. A little background story. One of my best friends, he's expecting his first child. And so we was chatting it up, and I was like talking to him. And I was like, yo, so how's the missus doing, his wife? I was like, how's she doing with the pregnancy? And he's like, she's good. This is going to be her third child, his first one. He's like, she's good. He's like, it's me. He's like, I just feel like a bump on the log. Like, I can't, there's nothing I can do. And I was like, I feel what you're talking about, because it's like times when I'm laying with Deb with the first pregnancy, and she's uncomfortable, and she's this and she's that, and you want to help. Like, you want to be there as much as you can, and there's only so much you can do. I cannot physically stop the baby from moving inside of her. I cannot physically move the baby from being on her kidney. I cannot stop when her arms are hurting and when her feet are hurting. I can rub her feet, I can rub her back, but that don't change anything. I can't help when she doesn't feel attractive because of how she looks. I could say, you're still beautiful, you look like this because you're creating life. I could do all of those things, but I can't, that's still how she feels. And so we were talking about that, and I joked, I was like, yo, it doesn't actually get better, because even when the baby's born, you're going to be up at 3 a.m. because the mom's up at 3 a.m. breastfeeding, and she's just going to be like, hey, go back to sleep, because there's nothing you can do, because the baby has to breastfeed and you just can't contribute to that. So there's a lot of things that goes along with fatherhood that it's just like, you kind of just have to swallow it and deal with it. And we do that as men, but it definitely is probably in a conflict with us, because this only refers to real men, but our nature is to serve and to protect and to help and to problem solve. And you can't, there's certain things you just can't problem solve. I was joking with my friend, and I'm like, yeah, wait till she's breastfeeding and there's nothing you can do. And he joked, he's like, nah, I'll just give the baby my boob, which is hilarious to think of a man, but like, that's what we want to do if we could. Imagine a lot of men would be like, nah, I'll do it whatever I can do, because I want to help the baby. I want to help the baby's mother, whether it be your wife, your girlfriend, a one-night stand. If you're a stand-up guy, you still want to be there. You still want to be helpful. And there's a certain things you can't do. Then on top of that, it's like, oh, some of the guys are coming over. Let's grab a drink. She can't do that. Like, she can't do that. Hey, I'm about to grill 60 steaks, super extra rare. She can't eat that. Like, there's so many things that she can't do as a result of the pregnancy. And like, and again, if you're a halfway decent person, you're like, damn, I feel bad, because like, my life, as much as it's going to change, it's not changing. My life did not officially change until April 14th, 2017, when my daughter was born. Her life changed as soon as she found out she was pregnant. Like, the second she found out she was pregnant, she has to make the decision, do I even want to have this baby? And I know with Deb, it wasn't a question, but with other women, they're like, yo, do I want to have this baby? Can I have this baby? Can I afford to have this baby? Is this the right time for me? Like, they start asking all those questions, and it doesn't stop. You decide to have the baby. Where are we going to live? Am I going to be able to afford this baby? Is this guy going to bail on me one day? Like, there's 100 different questions that they have, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm here. I'm chilling. I'm still working. My life's not different until the baby shows up. And then it's like, okay, now I got to take care of this little thing. But she's been taking care of this little thing for 9 months. And so and I don't think this is something that kind of weighs on guys, that doesn't get, I don't know if it doesn't get talked about enough, but it's definitely a thing.
Yeah, I feel that. I think about it. I mean, I didn't start actually thinking about this until the other day when you brought it up. And I was like, as much as it affects you, it definitely has affected me in the sense where when those things were happening, because I had carpal tunnel during my first pregnancy. And if you don't know what that is, it's when your hands like cramp up anytime you like put your fingers together or you're sleeping or you're laying. So anytime those things would happen, I would be crying in the bed. And he would turn to me and be like, "Are you okay? Like, what can I do?" And he literally couldn't do anything. And I knew he needed to go to work the next day. So I'd be like, "You can't do anything. Just go to sleep." And I knew that during that time that I was crying and I was there literally suffering, or what felt like suffering, he was awake and he was listening to me, and he was vicariously, is that the right word? I think that's
Vicariously.
vicariously, he was living through me, and he was sitting there and maybe not feeling it necessarily, but he was feeling it emotionally. And like, to touch on something that you mentioned, like to have that doubt that is he even going to be there, the way that Ig and I ended up having our first daughter, we weren't even actually together when it happened. We got pregnant within 3 months of us like just talking. Really, we weren't actually dating or anything. We didn't start dating for another few months after that. Um, but yeah, so it was definitely something on my mind. But at the same time, when I told him that I was pregnant, he asked me, "What do you want to do?" I told him, "Well, I'm not going to have an abortion. That's just out of the question." And he said, "Say no more." And from that moment on, it was like we were in it to win it. Now, for a single second did I doubt that he wouldn't be there. It was just all these other thoughts that didn't really have to do with him. It was all self-doubt and like insecurities, and more so insecurities because he had just gotten out of a relationship. So I'm here thinking that I might be left pregnant while he goes back to the ex, or while whatever, because we weren't together. So those type of things came to mind a lot. But then, when was it that I moved in? How far along was I? Like 6 months?
No, it was earlier than that because you moved in by October,
Yeah, I moved
and
in by October, and so I got pregnant in July.
mm-hmm,
So
so less than
July,
6 months, like
yeah,
4 months.
yeah, around
August,
4 months.
September.
And then the way it happened,
Three? No, it was closer to 3 months because
yeah.
yeah, you were officially. So it's weird because you were always at the house,
Hmm.
but you officially moved all your stuff the very end of October when we went to that cruise thing.
Yeah.
So from say, well, we found out you were pregnant towards the end of July because I had just started my new job. So say a week after I started my new job, which is probably like early July 20s in that ballpark.
Hmm.
And then from July 20th, by October 20th, you were officially moved into my house.
Hmm. And the way that happened was really interesting. He literally was like, "So what do you want to do? What are we going to do?" And I was like, "I mean, I don't know." And then, like, ironically enough, I was like, I kept saying how safe my neighborhood was, even though I lived in the hood. And like one random day, like I came home and there was like a dead body outside. Like somebody had gotten shot right outside. And it's not funny, but at the same time, the fact that I was just bragging about my neighborhood not being that bad, that happened. And then like the conversation happened, and like then I was in here, and we weren't even official until the last day of September. And that was because I kept saying to him, "Well, we're not together and this and this." And he was like, "Well, we're not together because you don't want to be together." And I definitely didn't want to be together because I really, and anybody would feel this way. He had just gotten out of a relationship of 3 years. So I did not want to feel like this rebound, even though, yes, I got pregnant. But it is a difference between me getting pregnant and me getting with someone immediately after. I mean, at least that's how I felt at the moment. So I always said, "I'll get with you." But like in my head, I was like, I have to wait at least 6 months. Like, as a woman, like if your ex gets with someone right after, like it feels as though, did you even mean anything during this time? So I didn't want to, even though I did not know this girl from a hole in the wall, he did not cheat on her with me. He was completely not with her or anything. I still felt a sense of guilt. It might have been the whole year that I talked about her and talked about like her feelings, even though I did not know this woman. But I say that all to say, all those fears came to me and all of that. So when he kept saying that we weren't together and all this, I asked him to be my boyfriend on the last day of September. And we started dating from then on, and I was moved in by like October 20th, like you said. And yeah, we were together for almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we still live together. I'm actually moving in a few days to Florida, and then he's coming, not to move with me, but he's gonna come to Florida as well, and we'll be pretty close. So he'll be around the kids. He'll be there in August, and that's when the baby's gonna be born, the end of August, and he'll be there by the beginning of August. So we will still be amazing co-parents and just raising our kids together and just doing all of that. So any ladies that might be listening to him that are interested, cool, just respect my babies and me, I guess, but like more so my babies, because they mean the world to me and they'll always come first in both of our lives. At the end of the day, they are number one. So that's it. And gentlemen, I'm off the market for the next 18 years. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
All right. But yeah, so needless to say, father's remorse affected me just for feeling bad. I just felt guilty all the time because I know he felt guilty. So it was really weird that we both felt bad. I felt physically bad and I felt emotionally bad because he felt bad. And I knew that he still had to move on, not necessarily move on with his life, but continue doing stuff but he was very considerate. There was things, you didn't drink a lot, you didn't do a lot of things, he really didn't go out. He was very, 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 I could count on one hand, maybe in just a few fingers, how many times he went out during the time that I was pregnant, if even that, maybe once or twice. And it was nice. It was overall, for somebody that wasn't with this person from years prior, it felt like a very comfortable situation. And yeah, so there was that.
Yeah, I mean, so as a guy who's had a pregnancy scare sort of in the past, and like know people who had it, you realize pretty early you don't have a say. The girl gets pregnant, she has a say. You can either be like, I support you, or I don't care what you do, I'm leaving. Because it's either you leave and she doesn't keep the baby, or you leave and she does keep the baby. But either, like, so I'm like, that was an option. Like, I refuse to be some type of stereotype. I'm like, you're having a baby? Cool, we're having a baby. So then once that part is it's figured out, then it's just like, all right, well, what's best for the baby and the baby's mother? And it doesn't have to be the baby and your girlfriend. It's just the baby's mother. This person's carrying your child, so you want to make sure that both people involved are in a good situation, because you don't want the woman to be stressed out, and then you she has a miscarriage or she resents you. Like, I know people who are going through it when it comes to the mother of the child or the father of their children, and it's like, I don't want that. There's no reason for that. So I was like, what can we do to make that work? And so, like, she joked about, like, she was in a safe neighborhood. Well, I knew I was in a safe neighborhood. Like, yeah, things happen, but I knew I was in a safe neighborhood. I also had a better house. I was also closer to train stations and public transportation. Like, everything was just so much more conducive. So it 100% just made sense from jump. Hey, come move in. On top of everything else, the child's going to be with the mother majority of the time. So what, am I going to be trooping to wherever she was in a small 1-bedroom apartment when I have a 3-bedroom house? Doesn't make sense for anybody involved. I had just started a new job, so I knew I had the money. I knew I had the space. I was like, yo, let's do this. Like, I knew I was of an age where I was like, okay, I can do this, at least in my head. I can do this. I might not have felt the same way had the same situation happened 3 years prior. I might not have felt the same way had the situation happened 6 months prior, because I would have been at a completely different job. Things happened the way it happened. I have no regrets looking back on any of it. Like I said, I have a beautiful daughter, and I have a beautiful mother for that daughter. And like I said, I know some horror stories with people, and I don't have those. I make it a point to say that I don't have those horror stories with the mother of my child. And up until now, my child just turned 3. I have not had any issues, like any outstanding issues with the mother of my child as it pertains to her being the mother of my child. And I'm fortunate for that. Um, Going back to the father's remorse, I don't even know if that's the real term. I tried looking it up today, but I couldn't really find anything conclusive. Um, Another thing that like it's an interesting thing is that like you end up like you go through things as well. I saw things about like fathers having symptoms of pregnancy, like vomiting and like weight gain and things like that. And that's like outside of like dad bod or whatever you joke about. And others like sympathy symptoms. And I don't think I had any of those type of things. But it's like if I'm feeling some kind of way, feel bad, feel uncomfortable, or like feel emotionally drained, I'm always going to stop and think, dog, who am I to complain about feeling this way when I know she's feeling this way, then some. So you tend to just be quiet more often and just be like, yeah, you need something. You want ice cream at 3 in the morning? Bet. What kind of ice cream you want? You want your back rib? You want your foot rub? Bet. Let me know so I can do those things. And you end up swallowing a lot of your stuff and pushing all of your stuff to the side because you immediately are like, it's about her and the baby. And I didn't have a ton of like emotional baggage as it pertains to this, but I can imagine there were times where I was just not feeling it. But then I gotta look at her and I'm like, she definitely ain't feeling it. And who am I to complain about me not feeling it when she's doing what she's doing? And so you end up just like, let me be quiet and suck it up.
So what do you think you should have done differently or you could have done differently?
In terms of the pregnancy?
Yeah, the first time around.
I would guess that's a question you would have to answer. What I think I could have done differently, I mean, I think I was there as much as I could be. I think I listened as much as I could be and those type of things. I don't know if there's anything I could have done differently given the circumstances. Do you think there was something that could have been done differently?
I don't think so. I feel like you did a lot. You did a lot. You did a lot. Like you said, like you did swallow a lot of things. Like you'd never get sick. And I'm pretty sure during the 9 months, there was at one point that you weren't feeling well. And even with you not feeling well, you kept saying, I'm fine, I'm fine. I'll drink ginger ale, I'll drink some medicine. And you literally did that and you just kept being there for me. So I think maybe, I don't even know. I can't answer that now. I just, it was a question that came to mind. Because do you think this time around, I mean, this time around was different because we got pregnant right when we broke up. Like we broke up at the beginning of November and we found out, what, December?
Like,
yeah, January
no,
almost.
January.
Yep.
Like middle of January.
Mm-hmm. And it just, it was the different circumstances this time around. So I don't think that question is so much valid with this pregnancy because this time around we're not the same. The dynamic is different.
Yeah, the dynamic is different. Plus, like things that are going on in the world, like during the home stretch of your pregnancy, I'm not even going to be in the same state as you. We have the world coming to an end because of the pandemic. So little things like going to doctor's appointments with you, I can't do. So yeah, this one is trickier along the way.
On the plus side, though, you did get to go to like 3 appointments before all this shit happened. 3 or 4 appointments.
Yeah, I was able to
before
go over
this
there. I was able to
happened.
hear the heartbeat. I was able to see early sonograms,
Hmm.
those type of things. So yeah, I mean, so you cherish those moments because like you don't have them.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There was obviously there's a ton that was different with this pregnancy than the first one. Um, and like I said, I already am starting to feel bad because I know like you're coming to the home stretch is when all the stuff starts to kind of happen,
Hmm.
and I'm not even going to be in the same state when those things happen. Even when I'm in the same state, like I mean, once I'm in the same state, there'll be nothing to be with you at the house or whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
There's going to be 2 solid months where I'm not going to be in the same state with you, and everything that comes along with those things.
I think of that. I think of that often because it was like with my first pregnancy, it was at the end where the carpal tunnel really started kicking in and kicking my ass. And it was during those times that you would like massage my wrists and my hands and my legs and my feet. And that was during the time that, I mean, everyone, it happens to everyone with the swelling of the feet. So you definitely went above and beyond. And I know that even with us not being together, I know that if I was here, if we were together, like not in a relationship, but I mean in the same place, you would be still doing those things because that's just in your nature to be not a caterer, but like a, yeah, you like cater. You're very caring and you're very there and you're present. And yeah, like today, I think prime example, he didn't have to do this. And he doesn't have to do half of the shit he does, and he does a lot. Today he was like, "Hey, I'm getting you a chicken sandwich," and I was like, "Okay." And then I asked him for a soda and chocolate. He brought me 2 chocolates and a soda and a chicken sandwich with fries and a rib inside of it, and like a rib on the side. Like the fuck, like those little things. That's what I feel like all women should want, not necessarily like in a man, but in the person that you are having a baby with, that to be considerate, to be caring. Because he could have literally got me a chicken sandwich from Burger King and I would have been fine and happy. But he got it from wherever he got it from, and it was amazing. Like the fact in the way that he goes above and beyond is just, it's unexplainable. Like I can give you 100 other examples of him doing the most. And then you're probably thinking, then why aren't you guys together? You know, we have our toxic traits as well. We just weren't good for each other in a romantic sense, but we are good for each other as friends. We are good for each other as co-parents. We are good for each other in different ways. And when you have a kid with someone, you don't necessarily have to be with them to be able to raise these good human beings. And I mean, it wasn't always that way. And it did take some time to come to the realization of that. But once that realization hit, it was like, we just need to be good people to each other in general for our girls so that they can see that you don't need to fight, you don't need to do all these things. You just need to be a good person, be a good person with your partner, because he's still my partner, just in a different way. He's not my I don't know what it's called. I don't know what word.
Other?
He's not my like significant other type of partner. He is my parenting partner. He is my co-parenting partner. And yeah, so that's just so for whoever is thinking, he sounds so perfect. He's great. Obviously, we both have our faults and we both have our toxic traits, and just in a relationship we're just not good, but just in other ways we are. So we just know that.
Yeah, we're not gonna let like a failed relationship. I guess I say failed in air quotes because I don't think it was.
Yeah.
It was a complete waste or a complete failure, but it didn't work. We are not currently together. But we're not going to let a failed relationship prevent us from other things. And when I say other things, I can easily be like, well, I'm not with her, so F that bitch, F those kids, I'm out. No, I'm not going to do that. She can easily be like, well, I'm not with him, so F him. He's not going to have anything to do with these kids' lives. No. Like, we still want to, most importantly, I'm not going to create an environment where my daughters don't have their mother. That's me. I can't speak for her, but I will never create an environment where my daughters don't have their mother. So I'm not going to fight her and try to take her kids away from her or be like, you know what, we're not together and I'm the better parent because I have more money or I have this, I have that, or whatever the case may be. So let's go to court. I'm asking for full custody. No, you know why? Because my kids lose in that regard. Um, and I'm not a person who's going to just dismiss friendships. Like, I've been fortunate to have friends all over the world because I traveled a lot. I understand the benefit of having connections and having those type of relationships. So I would be idiotic to not have a relationship with the mother of my children. Like, those type of things go a long way. So when something comes up when it pertains to our kids, it's not some type of contentious conversation where we can't stand talking to each other and we need to talk to somebody else, or she needs to talk to my father about me, or I need to talk to my mother about her. Like, no, we are in a place where we can talk to each other about our kids, and then as an extension about our lives. So she can come to me and be like, hey, I have this podcast. Can you listen to it? Can you tell me what's going on? I can come to her and say, hey, I have this going on. Do you want to come check it out? And all our kids see, though they don't see a couple, they see a group of, they see their parents respecting each other and loving each other in that regard, which again, that's the ultimate thing, is that our what our children see is a reflection of what we want them to see. And that starts with us being friends, being cordial, having mutual respect for each other, and those kind of things. So yeah, what she said earlier, to respect her kids, yeah, that goes second for me, because I'm like, nah, you like, I don't need to be in any relationship to where you're gonna disrespect my kids or their mother. Like, so that would never be the case. So yeah, you want to have these positive friendships, these positive interactions with the people in your lives. And this is a person that is going to be in my life. Yeah, you can easily say she'll be in my life for the next 18 years, or she's going to be in my life forever. Even if in the most minute ways, my children get married, you think we're both not going to be at the wedding. Our children have some type of major life event, you think we're both not going to be there. We're going to be in each other's lives for as long as our children are, as long as our children are breathing air, as long as we're breathing air, we're going to be in each other's lives. We could be at each other's necks for the next 90 years, or we could just be cool. I'd rather be cool. I got no desire to be at her neck for the next 100 years. So that's
I
how
feel
I feel
that.
about it.
Yeah, I feel that completely. And to piggyback off of what you just said with not wanting, you wouldn't take the kids away from their mother. I don't want that either. More so because I didn't have my father there, and I knew the effect that had on me and how I felt when he wasn't there and he had a whole new family and all of that. So to think, no, I don't think that you would just, I don't think that you would ever just be like, you know what? All right, bye. You're right. You can have them. I don't think you'd ever do that. But not only that, like I don't, I don't know. I can't picture you, if that were the case that you do that, go and start a new family. And if you hypothetically in a crazy world were to do something like that, I would never want them to feel what I felt when my dad did that to us, to me and my sister. Like my mom and my dad got divorced, and he shortly after got with someone else and had 3 more kids. And it was like, damn, but what about us? Like, now we don't get to see you. Now all of this, they got the shit end of the stick because my dad ended up being a worse alcoholic and they ended up breaking up and all of that. And the last time I saw my dad, I mean, I saw him recently, but before that was when I was 14. And my last actual memory in front of him was him beating his wife and not letting my grandmother stay when I called her to come pick me up because of that. So I wouldn't want my kids to ever experience not learning from their dad, not being able to go practice basketball or anything like that. So when everything happened of me moving, me and him sat down and had that conversation of like, our plans were never to stay in Massachusetts or Boston. Our plans were always to go somewhere. So let's take advantage of this time and let's move. Even if it's not together, at least like we'll all be together. And he, for a second, he thought about it, but it was literally not even a thought. You thought about it for 2 seconds, and then after that you were like, you know what, you're right. And then it just, the wheels started turning, and now we're leaving. And I would never, my big thing, like I've told him, unless I had to put him on child support, more so because of the insurance thing, I would never do that, because I know that for him, I never have to force him to give me anything for the girls. For him, I know that if I hit him up to be like, hey, I need this. Okay, how much is it? And then we'll go half, and it'll never be a problem. It's not, I don't have a doubt in my mind that he'll ever just stop doing that. And God forbid it ever does, knock on wood. But like, the child support thing, I think, is for people that are absent and people that are neglectful to their kids, and also for bitter baby mamas. And I don't want to be a bitter baby mama. Like, I joke around and I call him my baby daddy or whatever. But for the most part, when I speak to other people, I refer to him as my daughter's father, because he's more than just a baby daddy. He is my daughter's father. He's my girl's father. And he's a father. He's not just a daddy. Like, he's all of that and more. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate to have both parents. I was fortunate to live with both parents separately on different occasions. So I understand the impact of having your father and your mother in your life. They both provide different things. There's absolutely things that I could provide to my daughters. There's absolutely things that she could provide to her daughters that I can't. And again, anything else shortchanges them. Doesn't shortchange me. Like, the things that Deb knows at this point in her life, I probably don't need to know for my life. So if I'm not around, then who cares? But if my daughters aren't around to take advantage of those things, it probably affects their life, and vice versa. So when we talk about moving here, there was a bunch of circumstances that kind of fell out, that happened, that kind of forced our hands to move here. But excuse me, them moving here was the best move for them. Well, for Deborah at the time, and with V and the child to come, it was the best move at the time. Me coming when I can come is the best move at the time. Like, for them, like, will it be a tougher move for us individually? Maybe, but it's not about that. It's about them. And making this move is what's going to benefit them right now, probably going to benefit them in the long term. And that's what it's all about. And we have always been on the same page of what's best for them. As long as we continue to stay on that same page of what's best for them, I don't see us having a problem. I don't see them having any abnormal problems. And again, that's what matters. Yeah, it's about the kids. It's about what's right for them.
Mm-hmm.
We make our lives work in accordance to what works for them.
I agree. At the end of the day, they are the only thing that matters. And if it benefits them, it benefits us. And we have to adjust to what benefits them, period. Like, there is no in between or anything like that. We sometimes, like, we have talked about, like, if we get with other people and like how that'll affect like the whole dynamic, and I don't think that it should. But of course, you really don't know until you're in the situation how it's going to affect. But do you think, Ig, that if you met someone that you were so smitten by, do you think if this person said to you that they felt uncomfortable with the type of relationship that you and I have, do you think that what would you say? Like, what would be your reaction? What would you say? Like, would you tell me to stop calling you more, or, oh, Jesus. Right. Would you, like, what would you change with our friendship? Because I definitely feel like, besides, because we do have a friendship, besides with the girls, I will be reaching out to you because we're friends, and you're, like I said, you're like my biggest supporter. You've always held me down when it came to all my creative stuff. So what would you say? What would you do?
So I've always had a close female friend that I've had no sexual anything with throughout my life, going back 15, 20 years. I've always made it a point, and to contest to this, when we first meet, I say, hey, I got a good friend named blah, 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 blah. She's not going anywhere. Like, that is what it is. I would like you to meet her. I would love for y'all to have a relationship, but this person is not going anywhere. You are now one of those people. So, and it won't be, well, I have the mother of my child. Obviously, you're not going anywhere, but you're my friend. So, no, I'm going to meet somebody and be like, hey, I am so cool with the mother of my children. No, we are not together or anything like that, but she is very much active in my life. And that's one of the things that, again, you can attest to this, that comes up pretty early in the talking stage, mm-hmm. and that I don't really budge on. So no, I wouldn't budge on that, because either you know that from jump and act accordingly. If you allow some, you know what, I'm not comfortable with that. All right, no doubt. And again, you can attest to this because I was friends with my ex, but she was my ex, and you said you weren't comfortable with that, and I said cool, but I also told you about my homegirls and that they weren't going anywhere, and you were like cool, and so I would tell the next person the same exact thing. Hey, this is my homegirl. This is also the mother of my child. Like, she's not just my homegirl. So no, she ain't going anywhere.
What do you think, though? Because what do you think in the sense that people think that baby mamas and baby daddies have a bad connotation when it comes to being friends? Like, people always think that because you've had kids.
Damn TV. Like, I know people who are cool with the mother/father of their children, and it's just that. Like, I think that's something, especially in the Black community, that's obviously a reoccurring like issue of the baby mama, baby daddy drama. But like, it don't gotta be that. Like, we are adults. We understand that, hey, it did not work as in a relationship, but that does not mean that it's the end all be all.
No, but I'm sorry. Let me clarify. Like, the stigma that we're still fucking and we're still doing all this stuff.
I was getting to that.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I'm like, it did not work in a relationship, and that's not the end all be all. That doesn't mean that we're still going to be fucking or still going to be doing any of those kind of things. That's not uncommon. People treat it like it's uncommon. That's why I started this, but people watch too much damn TV, because you treat it as it's uncommon, as this person's always going to be sleeping with their babies, whatever. But no, there are situations out there where it's like, no, we're just like, we did not work out, but we are friends. And that's not far-fetched. If you think that way, it's probably going to cause me to think a certain way about you, because I'm like, yo, every single situation is different. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. And you can't just assume, oh, well, that's his baby mother, so they have to still be sleeping together, or once their baby mothers, it's always going to be the case. That don't happen. People get divorced all the time, and they can still be cordial. Some are more friends than others. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen when we move to Florida. Like now there are certain shows that we won't watch until we watch it with the other person or things of that nature. It's not going to continue? Probably not. But there's still, I hear something and I'm like, hey, yo, Deb, did you hear about XYZ? Did you see what so-and-so posted? And I could easily shoot her that text as I see it or tag her in this meme or whatever the case may be and then move on with my life, move on. And we can both continue our lives. We can enjoy that laugh. We can be like, oh, wow, I didn't read this story. And then just keep it moving with our lives. Like, it does not have to be crazy. It's our relationship will be what we want our relationship to be, not what the next person thinks our relationship should be based on our perceived titles. Mm-hmm. We want our relationship to be friends, to be co-parents, to be respectful. They don't, because you think we still fucking, or you think that we hate each other, or you think, well, if I start dating him, she's going to be blowing up my phone and trying to fight me at my job. So that's your problem. That ain't ours. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think you're going to be out here trying to fight the next girl I may end up taking serious simply because she's dating me. You may have very well have reasons to fight her for some other things, and whatever that may be, but simply for the fact that, well, he's now dating my baby daddy, she's not dating my baby daddy, I'm going to go fight her. I don't think you're going to do that.
I'm not.
Exactly. So, like I said, our relationship is going to be what we want it to be, not what you think it should be, based off your perceived notions of our titles.
Yeah. Based off of that, like I've told you before, and I just want the world to know, I will never be like, oh, I want to fight them. But I've always said, if you get with someone else, I absolutely want to meet them. And not because, oh my God, you're dating my baby daddy, I need to meet who you are, I need to know everything about you. No, it's because, girl, if you are going to be around my baby daddy, even if it is only a couple of times a week, it's only going to be a matter of time before you're around my babies. And I need to know who is around my babies. I need to know the type of character that you have, and that you have good intentions, and you're going to be a good person to be around my kids. Because if I meet you, like the hypothetical you, and you are just not polite, not respectful, not all these things, it's like, why would I feel comfortable with you being around my girls? Like, that makes me feel like you're going to do them harm. And my biggest issue is, like, period in life, is someone harming my kid because of me, or because you feel any type of way towards me. And God forbid you I don't know, it's just an example, but you say, oh, let me do her hair, and then you're pulling my kid's hair or hitting my kid with a comb and trying to shut them up, and just because you're like, oh, you're just like your mom. Or my daughter, Victoria, our daughter, V, this girl has my attitude through and through. This girl is me. So God forbid you meet me, and then you meet my baby, and you see that her and I might not look alike, but we are exactly alike, and then you start treating her like shit. Like, then I have an issue. Then I have a problem. And it has nothing to do with you being his girlfriend, but everything to do with you not being a good person to my kid. So I just need to know the type of character you have to be comfortable enough to have you around my kids. Because if you are a nice person, you are polite, you are respectful, you do understand that he and I have a friendship, and that's just what it is, and that's what it's going to be forever, then we'll be good. We'll be good. And that's it. I don't expect to ever, and I don't want to put negative energy out there, but I don't hope to have beef with anybody you date, because I also want you to be happy, even if it's not with me. But I just need to know, I need to feel secure that the person is just a good person around my kid. Because, and I know for myself, like I've told you a million times, I don't plan on bringing any men near my kids. I've been through sexual trauma, as you know, and like sexual things that I don't wish upon any kid. But I was put in situations, not necessarily my mom's boyfriends, but mom never brought men at the house because of that. So I'm never going to do that. And that will never be an issue. But if I was dating someone, or I don't know. You never know what is going to happen. I've told Ig, I would want him to meet the person I'm dating, just because I need him to see something, because maybe he'll see something that I won't see. Maybe I'm just so smitten and I just am blinded. And that's just it. Like, I just need all partners, whether it be his or mine, just to be respectful to each other, because at the end of the day, if one of us, if he tells me he doesn't feel comfortable, guess what? Like, you're not going to be around my girls. Like, it's just, that's it. And there's no question about it. Not for a single second would I question that, unless it's like something ridiculous, like, oh, he can't dress, or something like very like silly. But yeah, that's my
no,
stance on that.
and I agree. Like I said, if we are not necessarily a package deal, but you are very much an add-on where like you're not going anywhere. You're not going to be around 24/7. No, my daughter is a package deal, but like you're not far behind type of situation. So yeah, I would like for any future partners I have to at least have a working relationship with you, where at least like she can reach out to you like, hey V, I saw this cute outfit for V. Would you be okay with her wearing this? Or I was thinking about doing this weekend. Would you be okay doing this or coming with us, or whatever the case may be? V asked me to go get her nails done, and I was like, I reached out to you. She reached out to you and said, hey, Victoria asked to get my nails done. I don't mind going with her. How do you feel? Do you want to come with us? Is this something that you want to do strictly with her alone? I want them to have that kind of relationship. Yeah, I would gladly be the in between, but I don't have to be like cool. Like, it's not like for serious things. Of course, I want to be involved with, but things like, hey, your daughter wants to ends up her hair blonde. Or how do you feel about this? Because I have the material. I'm dyeing my hair now. How do you feel? Your daughter wants to do this. Your daughter wants to go here, or whatever the case is. Your daughter came to me and talking about this. Like, she didn't want to talk to her dad, and I just happened to be there. But out of respect for you, I want to make you aware that this is happening, that this was brought up. I don't want to cross any lines with you as her mother. And I want the woman I'm with to feel that way, because that means you have respect for me, my daughter, and her mother, because I just can't have you disrespecting any 3 or 4 of us, because I have 2 daughters. I can't have you disrespecting any 4 of us, because that's just a no-no. I can't see, like, no, siblings, it's just a no-no. So yeah, I would feel better if they met, they talk. Now, they don't get along, or they're not the best of friends, and it's just, you know what, I don't really, she talks too much, or I don't really like her laugh, or I don't really find her sense of humor funny. Not that she's a bad person, I just don't want to hang out with her. That's fine, those are cool. And if she's like, this girl gives you a really bad vibe, do you take that into account? Like, it ain't got nothing to do with me, but like, I don't really like the way I've heard her talking about kids, or talking about women of color, or talking about this, or talking about Latino women. My daughter's half black and half Spanish. I'm not going to date somebody who goes around calling Spanish people wetbacks. As respectful to her mother, who is fully Hispanic, as respectful to her daughter. And maybe I don't hear it, but you hear it, and you're like, yo, she said this the other day, or she was joking about this. Yeah, you take those kind of things into account, and that absolutely will play a factor in how our relationship, me and her, the other girl's relationship moves forward, and so on and so forth. But it all starts with them meeting, them talking, there being some type of baseline of respect. Because if you have a baseline of respect, you can absolutely build on that, and you don't know who knows where that comes, where that can lead to. If you don't have a baseline of that respect, the foundation will crumble sooner than later, because that baseline is not there. And it's on me to help establish that baseline, where it's like, hey, we are going to the park. Would you like to come and meet Shaniqua, whatever her name may be? Would you like to come and meet her? You know, and again, if you guys are hitting it off, cool. If not, you don't. But at least that attempt was made, because that attempt helps everyone involved. because I'm not just a single guy. I'm a single father, and like that comes with things, and I gotta take all those things into account. When I was a single guy, I had to take myself into account. I can't do that now. I gotta take my children. I gotta, to a degree, take their mother into account, because if she's not comfortable with the woman, like on what could be a very legitimate reason, that's gonna have a backlash on me, which has a backlash on my kids. And like I said, it's always about them, and it's just a domino effect that starts with building a solid foundation on the front end that will hold up on the back end.
I agree. So, yeah. I agree. So cool. This was a good little intro to our life and our So let's move on to my second segment, which is the shenanigans of the week. And this is where we discuss bullshit that we've seen on social media this week. It could be a story or some amazing meme, picture, video, anything really that you thought that was interesting, but it was some bullshit. For me, it was the Tekashi 6ix9ine. I know he got out recently, and depending on when this comes out, it wasn't too recent, but it was recent. And he, I hear myself. I hear my echo. He tried to donate $200K to No Kid Hungry Foundation, and they declined. So they declined, and then I think it was like the following day, Cooking for Kids organization said that they would gladly take it. And I thought that was very interesting that No Kid Hungry declined it, because $200K is $200K. And if that could feed all these kids, then why not just accept the money? I know that he has a really weird background. I know he went to jail. I don't know if it was like for sexual assault or something like that, or what was it? He dated someone. I
don't know if he went to jail for the sexual assault. I know he was accused. I know that was just part of his background, but I don't know if he was ever charged with it. I don't know the details of that particular case. But I know that is something that's in his jacket that comes up when talking about him. I also, from what I understand, that's not as cut and dry as you think. Him just out here assaulting women. I think there's a little more nuance to that situation. Again, I don't want to speak on it because I don't know the details of that. But obviously, the biggest thing with Tekashi 6ix9ine is him going to jail, then getting out of jail as a result of being a cooperating witness. That is a fancy word for saying snitch. And so I know people all feel very vehemently about that, as you should, or as you're entitled to feel how you want to feel, whatever the case may be. That being said, I feel a kind of way about an organization turning him away because of what that could mean, turning his money away. If I'm a starving kid, I do not care where that money is coming from that's going to feed me, because the alternative is another night of me not getting fed. I think that's kind of misguided. I don't know if it's misguided. I just think that's irresponsible of the organization to not be taking the money. Like, these kids don't care. There's probably a 3-year-old baby who has no clue who Tekashi 6ix9ine is. All they know is that they're hungry.
Not only the kids, but the parents that are probably relying on this, like on this organization to help them give kids their food. Like, I know when I was working for a nonprofit, we would rely on these donations and all these things to be able to put food in these people's houses and the clothing and all of that. Because I used to work for a nonprofit that would house people, and we had shelters, and we did housing and all of that stuff. So we would help them with all sorts of things. So I'm sure if Tekashi 69 were to donate to them $200K, they're not going to care where the hell that money came from, because that money's going to go and help all these people and essentially their kids. So I
think that was, I definitely would look at that company side eye. Like, I would not be inclined to give them money, knowing this information that y'all are out here turning away money, unless y'all just have a surplus of money. In that case, like, I don't know. I would, if you have a surplus of money, you don't need my money to begin with. But if you're out here turning down donations, why would I then give you a donation? Like, it's not about where the money is coming from. It's about where the money is going to. And like I said, those kids, those parents, they don't care. They're hungry. They're cold. They're whatever is ailing them at the moment. And that 200, whatever money can go to help them. And that should be all that matters at the end of the day. And they made it seem as though that's not what matters. I understand they were like, we don't necessarily want to be associated with certain things and certain people. Then find a way to keep it off the book. Not off the books, you don't want to mess with the law. But find a way to keep it off the public, or make him sign a non-disclosure. Do something like that. Where the kids aren't hurt, because you're not hurting him by turning down his money. He still is he's still $200,000 richer, where he can go and spend that money on some stupid jewelry or a car or something like that. You still don't have the money, and there's still a kid that's hungry. You got to find a way to make that work.
Yeah, they definitely did those families and those children a disservice, and that's pretty fucked up. So that was the bullshit that I seen this week. What about you?
So I saw a pretty interesting video where this baseball player by the name of Blake Snell, he was talking about them trying to make them play baseball this season with the corona and his issues with that. My actual big takeaway, though, is listening to him speak. Blake Snell, who is a Caucasian gentleman, absolutely sounds like a black person. And you laugh, and it's funny. You hear him talk, and he definitely sounds like he might have grown. And it didn't sound like a wigger. It just sounded like somebody who grew up. I don't know if he grew. I mean, sounded like someone who grew up around black people. I find that funny as a person who his entire life been accused of sounding like a white person. When I'm told I sound like a white person, I think it's a lot of times has to do with like my vocabulary and the fact that I don't have a discernible accent from any particular region, and things of that nature. It's always treated as an insult to sound like a white person when you're a black person, when in actuality, you can tell the difference between a black person and a white person most times. You hear a person talk, there's a good chance, I have yet to figure out why, but there's a good chance I can figure out if you're black or if you're white, simply by hearing you talk. You can say the same exact sentence, but you can hear the difference. I've never been able to figure out what it is. I always found it to be the most interesting thing. And this is not including slang or any colloquialisms or anything of that nature. It's just typically the way certain people's voices naturally sound. Even if they're from the same exact city, same exact town, there's a difference in it. And it was funny that he was the counter to that. And again, I'm the person who have always been, who, at least growing up, was always accused of sounding white. And I just thought that was interesting. If you ever get a chance, look it up. His name is Blake Snell, Snell. And he's just talking about his issues with playing baseball. But listen to him, and like you can hear.
Close your eyes, just listen, and don't look.
Yeah, it's an interesting experiment, and then do it with your other friends. Like if you have friends both black and white or coworkers, just close your eyes and listen. You can almost always there's a difference in the races. I don't know what it is. There is though, and it also kind of it's most, again, without having an accent, it's the most prevalent thing with Black and white people. Asians can kind of go either way. Hispanics tend to lean towards sounding as if they're Black. And when I say Black, I don't even mean like they're from the hood. Like, even listen to like a TV show, or a sports talk show. There's a difference between the way Black people, not the way they talk, the way they sound. I specifically want to say how they sound, not the way they talk, but specifically how they sound between a Black person and a white person. It's an interesting thing if you ever get a chance to look at it.
I will definitely be checking it out because that sounds really funny, and I can't wait to see it. Well, hear it, not necessarily see it.
And it's like other things too that come along with it, like names, like, and especially with like last names. When you think of Washington, what's the first thing you think of as a last name?
Washington, white.
How many white Washingtons do you know?
I don't know any Washingtons. This is why I said white.
So yeah, I know a bunch of Washingtons. They're all Black. The only white Washington I know is George Washington.
That's why I said it, because that's the only one that I know.
But like, think back in school and all those type of things. I don't know any white Washingtons.
Or like Williams.
Same.
I know I don't know any white Williams, I don't think.
Like those type of names. First name is always a funny thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jerome's, which is an Irish name. Tyrone, which is an Irish name. Famous white Jerome, Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
He's a white Jerome. There's just certain names and are also interesting things when it comes to race.
So what do you think when people say, "Oh, you sound white," like, and they're not referring to the way you sound, they are referring to the way you speak?
That they're an idiot. I am an educated Black man. I've been an educated Black man. Both my parents are educated Black people. Like, I don't need to sound like, to quote one of my favorite shows, The Wire, a yo on the corner. Like, I can speak in complete sentences. I can say my words fully. I can also code switch with the best of them and do all that kind of stuff. I don't actually like code switching. I know most people don't, but I'm able to kind of get away without having to do it. But it's interesting because, again, a lot of my natural dialogue is, I don't know, I don't say that of a white person. It's that of me. Out of my natural dialogue, you're not going to confuse me with an uneducated person.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my natural dialogue. I have a bunch of friends who the same thing applies to them. You think I sound like a white person? I assume you don't talk to people, or you live in a particular type of bubble. I've been fortunate enough to not live in a particular type of bubble. I have not lived in a particular type of bubble my entire life. I went to school in Germany. I've lived in all different states, all different places. I've never been stuck in one kind of bubble. So I feel bad for you if someone happens to say that I sound like a white person and not talking about my actual tone or whatever the case may be.
I've been told I sound white. I've been told that I sound white multiple times, and I'm like, I don't know how, but I think they don't mean how I speak, but they mean how my voice sounds white. And I'm like, maybe.
Was this from and it's always seems to be people of color who hit you with that.
Yep. Like, it usually is.
You're not gonna get a white person saying, "Hey, you sound white." But it tends to be a person of color, Black, Hispanic, whatever the case may be.
Well, a white person's never going to, I feel like a white person's never going to be like, "Hey, bro, you sound like a white guy." Like, I think it'll always come from one of your peers or somebody.
I had a white girl tell me that.
Really?
A white girl in Medford. Me and my boy was kicking it, and this girl's sister said, "You sound white." And I just couldn't help but laugh because saying this as we're in the Medford projects. And I'm just like, I mean, no knock on someone who lives in the projects or whatever the case may be, but I'm just like, what does that say about your surroundings? What does that say about your interactions with people? Because it doesn't reflect on mine. I firmly believe it reflects way more on yours.
Mm-hmm.
But no, you're right though. You're very rarely going to hear it from white people. They be saying crazy stuff, but I think they're smart enough not to say that. But as Black people, it's never treated as a compliment.
No, never.
From Black people. But it's a shallow-minded thinking where it's like you have to sound this kind of way. You're from this part of town. You need to sound this kind of way. And it's like, no, I don't. No, I don't sound that kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's always an interesting thing when you start talking about those type of dynamics.
Yeah, I hate when people say that because it makes it sound like, okay, I sound white, so what do white people sound like? And then like, what do other people sound like?
Oh yeah, when you start asking them follow-up questions, their whole thing gets crushed.
They just look at you like, oh well, I don't know. You just do. And it's just no explanation. It's like, you sound dumb. Like, you're telling me I sound a certain way. You can't like really back it up. You're like, what am I supposed to sound like? Like, am I supposed to like? I'm Hispanic, but I'm not Hispanic from an actual, like, I'm American. Like, I sound from where I am, which is just America. Like, I don't have an accent from anywhere because I just don't. Like you, I've lived in different places, and then it just, an accent never stuck. I just talk the way I talk, and I talk ratchet sometimes, and I talk proper other times. I definitely code switch a lot. Like, at work, I sound one way, and outside of work, I'm a vulgar ass bitch. Like, it really just depends where I'm at and who I'm with.
Yeah, no, I never had the code switch a lot. I've also been fortunate. I've never had to work in corporate America a lot. Mm-hmm. I've always worked jobs where I was very much allowed to be maybe not 100% self. No, some jobs I was allowed to be my 100% self. Other jobs you have to be kind of toned down versions of yourself. And I guess you could argue that that's code switching. But like, no, it wasn't until my current job now, which I've only had for going on 4 years, where I've had to like, code switching would be the appropriate term. And it's interesting because I work very closely with my coworkers as well as with people who call into the company, and I'm allowed to speak one way with my coworkers. And obviously, you don't speak the same way with people calling into the company as a customer service rep. But I never had to do a ton of code switching. But previous jobs, man, I was a bike courier. I could talk however I want. I was a barber. I could talk however I want. I was a photographer/videographer. I could talk however I want. I worked in like retail. I could talk however I want because I didn't really care. So I had a lot of jobs where I was able to talk however I wanted. But how I talk is not that of, like I said, some yo on the corner. I can be just as urban as the next person. And there'll definitely be terminology that slip in. But even when talking with the most urban of people, the most hood, the most ghetto, the most ratchet of people, I can still talk the way I talk with the CEO of my company. CEO of my company came up to me and she was like, "You can change anything about this job, but would you change?" And I said, "I want to wear sweatpants to work." And like, yo, you can let us rock sweatpants, I would be happy. Like, as a terminology I would use with the CEO of my company, because I'm like, it ain't vulgar, but it's me. And I think there's a certain type of respect that comes from you being you, and you can be you in an appropriate in majority of settings. I think people find a certain respect in that, because we all know business talk. We all know, to bring it back to what we were talking, how it started this, we all have our white voice, our work voice, or whatever the case may be. I think if you can incorporate enough of your work voice into your everyday voice, your dialogue just becomes more natural to you, but you don't have to change it up. in every setting that you go to. And I think that allows you to be a much more truer version of you. And I think at the end of the day, people want to work with a truer version of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever your skill set is, like they want to know that the person that they're working with is true. We all know the fake voice. We all know the fake smiles. We all know what those things look like. And we don't like it when someone's hitting us with those things. So, like, the less you can hit someone with a fake something, and the more you can hit them with a real version of you, that's an appropriate version of you, I think that will have a longer lasting impact on your life, especially your professional life, but I just think your life in general. You end up attracting people that you want to attract. You end up being around people that you want to be around. And you end up being, you can be around a wider variety of people. I have a friend who is literally about to be a doctor and a lawyer who does not swear. And I have friends who are on the corner, who have records, who have all those things. All three of us can all have conversations. And I'm more or less right in the middle. All three of us can have a conversation, and you being an outsider probably wouldn't be able to tell who's who. And I think that's good. I think that's a good thing. When you see three people talking, you can't tell who's who. Like, there's no discernible reflective to who they are as people. You can tell that they're intelligent people. You can tell that they're respectful people. You can tell that they're smart. You can tell that they're caring or passionate or whatever the case may be, and they're true to themselves. Mm-hmm. And I think I've been able to cultivate a voice like that for myself. I encourage others to do the same. And I think that goes a long way.
I feel that. I don't think I can be my true self. I feel my true self all the time. I feel like my voice doesn't change too much because I always sound this way, but the biggest code switch I do is no cussing and not nearly as vulgar. I just take those things and I just turn off the switch, and I sound the same. I just don't swear and don't do all that because I don't want to make people uncomfortable.
Question: do you think you're being your true self on this podcast?
Oh yeah.
Guess what? You haven't sworn that much on this podcast. Actually, we can listen back. I bet you was less than 10 times you sworn on this podcast.
Really? Well, fuck shit, motherfucker.
Because you're starting. I think it's a thing that comes with age where you can start to blend the two. You cuss, but it's not some overwhelming, some glaring thing, because you've been able to mold that into. You've been able to. The version of you that you've cultivated, that you've created, is a much more widespread version of you. But it's, I'm listening to the conversation. A person who's known you for 4 years, a person who knew you when every other word out of your mouth was a swear word, and I'm listening to this, and I'm not sitting here thinking, damn, this bitch is out here being fake. No, like, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing you talk, and I'm like, yeah, like, this is you. This feels authentic. This is the person that I've known, I've seen grow. And I think that's an important thing. Where I've seen this person grow. Some people are fortunate to have that type of voice earlier in life. My friend, he's been like that since high school where he didn't swear. Other people have to get it later in life, which is fine. Like, don't ever let someone tell you you can't keep growing or that you're fake for presenting yourself a certain way. The way you've been conducting yourself on this podcast during this interview has no point come off fake, but that also hasn't come off ratchet, also hasn't come off ignorant or ghetto or any other terms that I probably don't actually like using, but people use. It hasn't been any of those things. It's been a truthful person.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's slide on into the weekly check-in. And this is where we talk about a current topic that we might have seen on TV or a movie, on the media, news, magazine, that you thought that was worth talking about. And yeah, if you'd like, you can start first, and then...
I cannot start first. I knew that this was coming. I was actively trying to find something. I couldn't find anything that felt new to me. Like, I've told this to my mother when I talk to her and other people, where life just feels very groundhoggy, where it's just the same thing over and over again. You turn on the news. I heard something that said that, like, Trump said that we have like super duper missiles, and from what I understand, that's a direct quote. And I'm just like, now I could have looked into that and listened to the interview and read more about it, but I'm just like, yeah, he probably said that, because I'm not surprised that he would say something like that.
Because why wouldn't he say that? Because
exactly.
he's a moron.
Like that wouldn't even be the craziest thing that man's ever said. That probably is not the craziest thing that man said this week. But because that's a reoccurring thing, I didn't even feel the need to waste my energy looking into that. Like, I'm
super
watching
duper missiles.
I swear to God, I saw someone say that, and they said that was a direct quote. I didn't click on it to confirm, but I also heard that and didn't think, nah, he wouldn't say something like that. He ain't that dumb. Because I absolutely believe he's that dumb and would say something like that. I'm watching two shows that I've already watched multiple times, so there's nothing really new there. I'm watching The Walking Dead for the third time.
Jeez.
I'm watching The Wire for... I'm starting to lose count of how many times I watched The Wire. Although I'm excited that once I'm done with The Wire, I'm going to start a new show, Sex and the City, which I've never seen. I've probably seen like a second or two of it, and I'm excited to watch that show from the beginning. But no, I don't have anything. I'm trying to think if there's like something that happened on The Wire that would be relevant.
Well, let me go, and then you can
if I can think of something, and I'll come back to you.
All right, sounds good. So for me, it was the show Insecure, and it was the last episode where Molly and Issa get into it because Issa ended up getting help from Molly's new boo thing after she said, well, Issa had reached out to Molly asking her to ask her new boo thing for help and connections to an artist to come perform. And she like slept on it, and then she thought about it and told her the next day, yeah, no, I don't really want to ruin this. I don't really want to fuck this up. Bah, 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 bah. So she didn't help her. But then Issa ended up reaching out to another friend that was friends with that new boo thing. And he ended up helping anyways. So Molly didn't end up finding out that he helped her until the day of the show. And it became this huge thing where they ended up fighting, damn near fist fighting, about to, because she ended up going behind her back, supposedly to, and I say supposedly because she didn't technically ask him directly. She asked the friend, and the friend went and asked the boo thing. So I thought that was really whack. But at the same time, I felt like it was a little, not sketchy. That's not the word I'm trying to use, but it was a little fucked up because she already told you she didn't want to. And as a best friend, you have to respect those wishes regardless. I feel like I told you can't because he's a new boy, like a new guy to me. And I'm trying to like make this work and not feel like I'm using him and this and this. So you going behind my back, or at least it feels like she went behind her back. Like I could see both sides, but at the same time, I definitely feel like I'd be kind of upset too, because I already said no. So no is no. What is your opinion on this whole situation?
Yeah, so I'm not on Molly's side at all. I have seen the episode that you're talking about. So Molly was on some, you asked me first, I said no, thus the situation should have been dead. Now, what if Issa would have asked Nathan first, which is the go-between between her and Molly's move? What if Issa asked him first, never even asked Molly? How does Molly then feel? Would Molly then feel that she went behind her back? Because Issa had no reason to go to Molly because Nathan was always there. She could have always reached out to Nathan. Nathan was always going to be the go, but could always also have been the go-between and it could have completely separated Molly. Molly, like, I think Molly is I think she's whack for not helping her friend. I can only semi-understand why she didn't help her friend. But then also, like, when you watch the episode, Molly was mad at her man. His name escapes me at the moment, but she was mad at her man because she was like, me and her aren't cool. When in actuality, her man only approved because that was her girl who asked him.
Mm-hmm.
I think Molly is whack. This is obviously less to do with this one particular incident and more to do with like a building, kind of a bubbling conflict that they've been dealing with all season.
Mm-hmm.
To double down, I think Molly is whack for doing it when she did it.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was not the time, not the place to sit here and confront her. If nothing else, she should have done it. If she felt so wholeheartedly about it, she should have waited until at least the next day.
Exactly. And like, she was ready to start a fight with her, who was her best friend, over this incident. I just think it's whack. Like, if y'all are any type of friends, you were friends enough for her to go to the event.
Mm-hmm.
I know you were on the base about going to it, but you were willing to let her event fail because she needed a headliner. Like, it wasn't like she was like asking her man to perform or do something out of his character. Like, she needed a headliner for her event. You could have, which could have been a make or break for her event. Like, I just think that's whack. Like, I don't really have any like deeper thoughts as it pertains to this kind of stuff, because it's really, like I said, this was a build up to their ongoing beef. We've talked about this personally with this like outgrowing friendships, and I know you have other podcasts when this topics come up. Sounds like that's the direction that they're heading to, but you still like it. I personally did not think this was the type of thing that can crush X amount of years of friendships. When you start talking about friendships in terms of years, and I'm talking about consistent friendships. I'm talking, I've known you since high school, but we go mad long without talking. I'm talking, if we follow the trajectory of the show, this is season 4, we can say, hey, it's been 4 years, give or take, since they've been on the show, and every season they've been cool, they've been peoples. So at least 4 years of friendship shouldn't get thrown to the wayside because of some bullshit. And I looked at that as a tire bullshit to be throwing friendship to the side in that way. So yeah, I definitely thought that was entirely whack on her part that it even went down that way. For sure.
Yeah, I definitely think that the way it went down, it was messed up. But I see both sides. I feel like it definitely, I don't know. I feel like after she said no, she should have left it at that. I feel like you said, she could have just went to Nathan. And if that was the case, I mean,
you don't see both sides.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, again, no, maybe
because,
not.
because the Nathan Avenue existed, and that if he never existed, then maybe we were having a different conversation. But because the Nathan Avenue existed, she could have gone to Nathan from the jump and never included Molly. Could have gone to Nathan and said, "Hey, Nathan, can you hit up Boo Thing?" We're gonna call him that. I cannot remember his name. Can you hit up Boo Thing and ask them X, Y, and Z? Nathan would have hit up Boo Thing, asked them X, Y, and Z. The whole thing goes the same way it does. Now Molly, with the exception of Molly now being completely out the loop. And then what? Molly gets mad. Why didn't you come to me? Why are you involving my man in something? It's like, well, come to you for you to say no? Like, what are my alternatives? Not have not have a headliner for my project because of your feelings? And it wasn't as if like maybe I feel different if this is an ex picking up or something of that nature, but like, I don't know. I can't see a world where Molly's in the right in here. Because again, if she goes through one avenue, then she can make the argument, why did you not include me in this? Because it's my man. She goes to another app, she included you, and you shot her down, and now you basically left her with her ass in her hand. And either way, she's screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just don't think that's the way you should kick it as a friend. Like, maybe you have some beefs. Like, I have friends where I have fallen outs with, and yeah, there's certain things like, yeah, I won't do this for you. But, like, something this big, if I consider you a friend, why can't I help with this? Why can't I, if I consider you a friend?
And a friend that's that close. That's true.
Exactly. Like, if I'm going to consider you a friend, no, we don't got to talk all the time, whatever the case is. But it takes nothing for me to be like, hey, Deb, can you do X, Y, and Z? Can you reach out to X, Y, and Z? I'll talk to them. I will deal with all the business. I'm not asking you to do anything more than put me in touch with them. And
that's kind of what you've done for me just recently, just the other day.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we're friends, and this is something that can help you. I like, if one of those people can drastically change the trajectory of your podcast in some way, shape, or form, it does nothing. Like, because again, my relationship with those people is strong enough where I can't imagine something. I don't see this happening, but something going wrong, and then they like, nah, I'm not fucking with you because of what she did.
Mm-hmm.
You're also talking to adults. Like, I think that's something that's kind of lost. Everyone is Insecure is over 30. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how old the characters are supposed to be. I definitely know that they're close to being 30 years old, if not over 30. That's just not how you pick it when you're that old.
Yeah.
Like, I can see this being some shit between 19-year-olds, but like, if you're 30 years old, dog, like, you're talking about a woman who was a lawyer, who was pretty sure she is like a partner at her law firm, out here about to fight because who was her best friend asked another person to ask her boyfriend if she can help with a major project. It wasn't like, yo, ask Nathan to put me on with so-and-so. It was like, hey, ask him to get a headliner for the big event I've been planning for the last 8 weeks or however long she was planning it for.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, there's no way I can break down the parts and be like, yeah, I can understand where Molly's coming from. I've also been on record as saying Molly's been trashed in season 1, but
yeah. No, you're right. Mm-hmm. You're right. Yeah. You're right. So, were you able to think of a check-in?
No, I was just answering that question. No, because I'm not watching any. I'm not exposed to anything new.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm watching. Like, I saw, like, I watched Insecure with you, so like, I'm gonna see that. Okay, here's one. Here's a check-in. So we were watching the TV show Dave, which is basically like a loose adaptation of the rapper Dave, Lil Dicky Burb's life. And I've seen it got renewed for season 2. I don't know if you're aware of that. So I'm excited because that was a pretty good show, and I'm a big fan of him as an artist. And then it was the highest rated comedy on FX.
Oh, wow.
And FX is the same station that has Atlanta, which stars another rapper by the name of Donald Glover. No.
Yeah.
Donald Glover is Donald Glover.
Yeah, because he changed his name from
Childish Gambino
to Donald Glover.
I can't remember Donald Glover's actual name. I don't know. Not as big a fan of his. But people are trying to make the connection that Dave is basically the white version of Atlanta. And that was kind of a talking point on the interwebs. And I didn't think that was fair. I thought both. I don't watch Atlanta. I've only seen a couple of episodes. I've heard really good things about it, but I don't actually watch it myself. I did watch Dave. I watched all of the entire first season of Dave, and I thought that was a really, really well done show. I thought it was funny. I thought it was smart and heartfelt in a lot of ways where it addressed things. I didn't think I heard people saying that it came off kind of racist, it came off to pandering to Black people. I did not agree with any of those things. I thought he took great care in understanding his white privilege as it pertains to a white rapper, but still felt true to him. I love the fact that he brought his boy from growing up on the show. I love the fact that his boy growing up was responsible for probably the best episode of the entire show when he addressed his mental health issue, which is the real thing that he faced. I thought addressing all those things was absolutely phenomenal. I thought the end episode was very true to him in terms of his kind of outlandish music video he was trying to pitch, and just him rapping his ass off at the end on was it The Breakfast Club. I thought all those things were pretty damn good. Probably not fair because I'm pretty sure Atlanta is like 3-4 seasons deep and Dave only finished his first season. But I thought it was a really good show that I will continue to watch. One show just happened to be bigger than the other. I don't think there's any racial connotations to that. There might be. There tends to always be racial connotations to things. But I didn't find Dave to be some white version of what should have been a better product. I didn't find that to be the case at all. What did you think about? Did you hear any of those backlashes or anything of that nature?
I did. I heard. I did, and I did, but I heard more good than I did bad. Like I heard way more great reviews and all of that. So I definitely skipped over the negative things I did see about it. And I kind of didn't even read into it because I was like, you're not going to be able to get everyone to like everything. So this is just not for everyone. And if it's not for you, then it's not for you. So I just kept reading and started looking at all the good reviews. And as far as when I was reading, a lot of people liked it. And it was so funny. And I agree. Like it was well done. And yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. And I can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, same here. I enjoyed it a lot. You know what? My big weekly check-in, I'm super sad that because of this Rona, a lot of TV shows didn't get to finish or are being postponed. Like, that, I think, really sucks. We were also watching Good Girls, which is another show I like a lot. And it basically had to stop in the middle of the season because they weren't able to finish recording it. I'm a fan of The Walking Dead, and they had The Walking Dead spinoffs. And The Walking Dead itself wasn't able to air its last episode. The spin-off shows are being pushed back. Like all these programs that like are stopping like at the end, but like not able to finish, and I think that sucks. I just among the a million other things that suck about this coronavirus is that like it's fucking up TV, and that sucks. Like I'm forced to stay in the house and only watch TV, and you're not even letting the shows finish. I gotta watch old shows for the ninth time over and over again.
Well, I do not watch shows over and over, as you know. I don't like watching shows over and over. I don't like watching movies over and over. I really enjoy watching new things. So I'm always on Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, anything just to watch something new because there's always something new. And you just happen to love watching shit over and over again. And I don't understand why.
No, because you could appreciate the stuff you miss. You watch a show, you watch a 60, 70 60, 70, 100 episodes show, you're not gonna get everything. Like you're bound to miss things. And then there's certain like you also watch a show from a different perspective. So, for example, The Wire. I've watched The Wire every year for the last, I think, 4 years, on top of the very first time I've seen it. So I think I've seen The Wire at least 5 times. Let's say 5 times in the last 10 years. I'm about to be 33 years old. That means I started watching The Wire when I was 23 years old. How much of life has changed in those 10 years? So now you're going to watch the show from a completely different perspective. So now I'm watching The Wire, and the first time I watched it, I'm here for all the gangster shit. I'm I'm here for the action. Yeah, I'm kind of whatever on the police. I'm about the school or the various like plot lines that don't attract to somebody that's 23 years old. At 33 years old, I'm paying way more attention to the political side of things. I'm getting what the person who created the show, I'm getting what their intentions were when they created the show. I feel the same way about music. People talk about, like, for example, Jay-Z, when he made his first album, he was 26 years old. The album came out in 1996. I was 9 years old in 96. How on earth is a 9-year-old going to remotely understand what a 26-year-old is talking about? See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So no, I'm not going to understand what he's talking about at that time. So you listen to the album and you live more life, and then you listen to the album and you live more life. Now I'm 23 listening to the 26-year-old talk. Now stuff is starting to make a little bit more sense. You live more life. Now I'm 26 listening to what a 26-year-old is talking about. Now I'm 30. Now I'm 29. Now I'm 33 listening to what a 26-year-old is talking about. And your life definitely impacts how you perceive the material because you just live more life.
You are so right. I didn't really think about that in that way.
So I think a lot of the same things go with TV shows. Like I remember vividly the first time watching TV shows pre having a daughter and after having a daughter. The same shows I watched, you're now looking at from a different person's perspective. So the entire time I'm watching the show from this character's perspective, because that might have been the main character. But now I can understand what that character is talking about because that's the mother or that's the father or that's the teacher. And he's looking back like, yeah, the reason he's talking to him that way, the reason he's stern, the reason he gets mad at those things is because he wants better for him. This whole time I'm like, dog, this character is a dick because he's barking on the main character and he's doing this on the main character and the main character is just trying to be a 13-year-old. But now I'm closer to the other person. Now I'm closer to the dad's age, and you understand those things differently because your life is different. So now a show that you might have already seen, the same thing applies to movies or books, any body of media that you've already seen, you're able to look at it from other people's perspective, and it's almost like watching a completely different show. Mm-hmm. And that's why I like watching shows over and over again. I mean, how many shows have I watched more than once? Let's see, The Wire, Weeds, Sons of Anarchy, The Walking Dead, House.
The one we saw together.
Ugly Betty and Desperate Housewives.
Desperate Housewives, yeah.
It's probably been about 8. I think I'm missing a couple. It's probably been about 8 or 9 TV shows that I've watched in their entirety twice. But you don't watch it back to back. It's not like I'm going to watch The Wire again Monday after I finish it tonight. No, you let it breathe. You live some more life. You pick up and I go in new shows. I look for new shows and new movies. And if it's a good movie, then yeah, I might go back to it again because again, I've now lived more life. How is this movie going to resonate with me now? It's like you talk about things that don't age well. Well, you can't tell they don't age well until you've aged yourself.
That's true.
Back and you're just like, I don't know about this. Like, why did I like that person? I think with The Wire, the biggest thing that you hear most people say, the first time they watch The Wire, there's a character that everyone always finds to love, Stringer Bell. Everyone loves, most times, everyone loves him. And you watch it again, and you're like, this dude's kind of corny. This dude's kind of a snake. This dude's kind of whack because you've lived more life. You might know someone who did some of those things to you or whatever the case may be. It happens along the line. I watched Sons of Anarchy. There's a character on there everyone loves, and Opie. When he dies, everyone's so sad. I go back and I watch that show. I see a dude who would rather be in jail than be with his 2 kids. And so now me, a person with a kid and another kid on the way, I look back and I look at that and I was like, bruh, the fuck I look like going to jail when I had nothing to do with it and being away from my 2 kids. And the dude ultimately ends up dying in jail. Spoiler alert, too bad, you'll live. The dude ends up dying in jail. The dude was never going to see his kids again.
Jesus.
And like, you might watch it the first time and think, oh, that's admirable. He's a real one, blah, blah, blah. I watch that now and I see a sucker. And I can't respect him for that. There's a ton of other stuff he does. I'm just like, yo, I can't respect those. Like, they may look cool on the outside, but like you stop and you think about what this person is actually doing, the people around him that are like being affected by his dumbass choices. Like, you think when you watch the show the first time, you think about him being loyal to his motorcycle club. And that's admirable to a degree. You don't think about him being disloyal to his wife, both wives, his children, his father, his mother. And it's like, now that you're older and now that you have better relationship with your father, your children, I'm not like, what? Like, how am I gonna? How can I honestly say that? Hey, he's a cool dude. No, he's not. Dying for your club is not cool when you have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Period. And so that's something you don't get until you watch a show with more years on you. Okay. So that's part of the reason why I like watching things over and over again. And there's not things I won't watch as many times. I think The Wire is the best show ever made, so of course I'm going to continue to watch the best thing ever made as often as I can. But you watch other stuff from different perspectives. You realize, oh wow, this person is not as old. I'm watching the show, and this person was 22 in the show, but I'm 15 when I'm watching it. Now I'm 22, and I'm like, yo, I'm like, okay, I'm the same age as this person. Like, maybe it inspires you. Like, yeah, it's a TV show, but you're like, yo, there's nothing stopping me from pursuing the same things they pursued because they're the same age. There's much more time. You realize this character is only this age, and then now get into a relationship, and I'm sitting here stressing like, damn, my window passed. Like, I ain't never gonna find the love of my life. I'm never gonna find my dream job. And then you watch something like Ugly Betty, and you realize she found all those things at the age when you might think it's too late for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perspective.
No, that's true. I haven't watched any shows over again, which now that you say it like that, it makes me think of like shows that I should watch again because I am a little older. I saw the movie 13 like when I was in high school, and I loved the movie. I was like, oh, this is so dope. This is so funny. This is so relatable. Bah, bah, bah. I watched it again last year after having my daughter and seeing it, and I felt like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, it was not the same reaction. And prior to watching it, I was like, oh my God, this movie's so good, and this and this. I haven't seen it in like 10 years. Let me watch it. And I watched it, and I was horrified the entire time. I was like, I have a daughter. I really hope she doesn't do this. What the fuck am I watching? So yeah, no, I agree. I just haven't done it. I didn't really think of it in that way. But the way that you just put it is like, it makes total sense that you grow and you start seeing things differently. And it just makes sense.
Before I was just like, oh, I want to watch this again. I liked it. Oh, actually, you know what tends to happen a lot? I don't finish a show, or I didn't catch it from the very beginning. So now it's like, I started watching the show, but I didn't get a chance to finish it. So I want to go back and finish it. But I'm not going to, why pick up in season 4 when I can just start from the beginning and watch all the way? That's what happened with Weeds. But now I'm going back and I'm finishing the show so I'm rewatching the parts I've already seen, and that's when you start to look at things differently. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. But now you know what the main plot is. So you start looking at the other stuff around in the scene. And you're like, huh? Like, I didn't notice him because he's not the main character, or she was a secondary character. And now I'm paying more attention. But I already know what the main plot is. I remember that already. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh wow, I didn't notice that. I didn't think about that. You add those two things. A lot of times it ends up being a different watching experience. Mm-hmm. And the same thing goes with movies. Like I said, the same thing goes with all different bodies of work, where you watch it one time. Because again, you cannot, if you write something right now, you write a book that's intended for your age, that doesn't mean only your age is going to watch it. Mm-hmm. People much younger are going to watch it. So, or read it or whatever, or consume it. And then how on earth can your sister who is younger than you possibly understand what it is to be you at this age?
Mm-hmm.
She can't. She physically can't because she hasn't lived that life yet. So what you create now at this age, she may enjoy it at the big picture, but she can't understand all the nuances of it. And then
Mm-hmm.
she gets to your age, goes back. Now she can understand the nuances of it because she has those years that you had when you created the product.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing goes with a bunch of other things where like the person who created it, they created it based on what they know up until that point in their lives. And that's why if you watch certain things, older people are just like, huh, that's interesting. I mean, it's not really how that would go. If you're at a place, you watch something now that takes place in Florida. You watch something last year that took place in Florida. You don't understand all those little pieces of it. Then you go back and watch it, and you're like, oh, I know that street. And now I understand how much more significant this scene is because it took place in that street, because I know what that street's about, or I know that restaurant, or I know what that restaurant means to these people.
Mm-hmm.
Or I know what I mean? And now I understand what's happening just a little bit more. Because I know what's happening more because this is something I've experienced that I didn't have that experience last time I watched this.
Gotcha.
So go back and watch a show that you like, and see if you still like it. There might be times you might watch shows where you don't like them, or you realize whatever the case may be. Or like I said, it doesn't just pertain to shows. Go back and read a book that you like.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe go read a book in high school. Or whatever the case may be, and see like how much more of the stuff are you actually understanding now with the way your life is currently constructed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not you, Deb. I mean you, the
you
audience.
in general. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go back and see. It allows you to reflect on your life and where you are in your life through these other venues, other avenues.
I feel that. I am definitely going to, and I'll let you know how that goes.
I encourage it. I look forward to hearing about it.
Yes. So let's get on to our last segment, which is our listeners Q&A. And unfortunately, I don't have any questions or answers for the people because I didn't receive any emails this week. But do you have a story or a question that you would like to ask me? And yeah.
Question I would like to ask you.
Do 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 do.
Okay, so you said that your daughter is just like you.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make you feel?
Nervous, scared, worried, anxious. Yeah, all of those feelings, all of them, mad, angry, all of those feelings all at once.
Why is that?
Because I know how I am. I know who I am. And she is like me in every way. She's impatient. She's sassy. She's rude sometimes, but she's also the sweetest thing, which is me. I'm super, super sweet, but I have all of these like little nuances about me that are just like, are they great? No, probably not. And like, I can see them in her. So that is why all of those feelings come about. Because it's like, damn, dog, like don't talk back to me. Just say, okay, mommy. But instead she says, no, right. And when she calls me honey, I just want to like punch her in the forehead. Like, don't call me honey. I'm your mom. I will stomp you. So yeah, it makes me feel like that. How does it make you feel that I know that you can see it? Because like you've been with me for 4 years, and then we bring this little girl into this life, and she is like me, and you can see it.
Yeah, it makes me worry because I see how those things affect you, and like, and I say affects you in the sense that like you don't walk around proud to have these things. It's not some type of badge of honor that you have. They affect you, negatively affect you, and you don't. It's not as though you love those traits, like or at least all of them. And so is that going to end up being the case with her? Is she going to constantly be in conflict with herself and those type of things? And you don't want to be in conflict with yourself. You have enough things in the world to fight with. You don't want to be fighting with yourself. And like, I mean, I've been there where you're like, am I going crazy, or am I this, or am I that? And those things weigh on you, and they weigh on the relationships in your life, and those type of things. And I wouldn't want that for her or anybody for that matter. So I definitely see those things, and at least glad that we're seeing them early so that we can address them.
Yeah, I always think, like, I know that from a young age, we need to do behavioral therapy, regular therapy, like all sorts of things, because I feel like if my mom would have done that or realized that with me at a younger age, but I don't think she knew what she was looking for. Because I know what I'm looking for, I know that we need to get her help early on, because we need to nip that in the bud ASAP. Because me living with how I am my whole life, it just wasn't fun. And it wasn't great. And it was what you just said, a conflict with myself all the time and with others around me. So it was like, I don't want that for her. And I can't wait to, like, not necessarily, I don't want to call it get some help, because that sounds like really horrible, but like, yeah, kind of like
address it. It's like you want to harness those things, because a lot of those things come from a positive place of like passion and drive, but if not harnessed correctly, it can come across as attitude and impatience and those type of negative connotations. So you just want to harness those things so that they're put in the right direction. That doesn't end up being detrimental to her or future relationships with her sister, with her parents, with partners, with employees, things of that nature.
No, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, but I think, again, we've recognized that there's something that needs to be addressed, and we're in the process of addressing those things, which is good. We'll be in the process of doing that.
Yeah. Well, perfect. So we've made it to the end of the show, and everyone else, please send in your listener letters and any stories or questions that you might have for me to answer on the podcast. Remember to email me at deb.talk with an extra K at the end at gmail.com, and that is deb.talkk@gmail.com. And I'll read it out in the podcast. And Iggy, let everyone know where they can find you and all that good stuff.
So I don't really be doing talking shit online, but if you want to follow along with my shit talking, you can follow me on Twitter at Iggy, IGGIE_TV. I don't really be on Instagram as much as I used to be, but you can see my cute daughter and my bomb ass cooking at Caesar Boondock. Give me a slide. I'm an entertaining follower, so follow me.